Good evening. It's 7 o'clock p.m. and today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. This is a hearing for the Speedway Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Tim Ramian. I'm the chairman of the BZA. In attendance with me this evening, to my left is Steve Jones, our secretary, and our new member, Robert Hodge, on my right. Two other members, Mr. Curtis Miller is unfortunately ill today, and our other new member, Mr. Hayden Flynn, is out of town on business. Also in attendance is Eder Lopez, our recording secretary, Mitchell Rector, our staff person from Etica, and Mr. Keenan Wilson, town attorney. Eder, have all who have wished to speak been sworn in? Okay. I ask everybody to silence your cell phones, please. And if you'll all rise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll take a second to go over the rules. The presenter of the petition, any remonstrators, and any proponents will each have 15 minutes to present evidence on their petition. Following their presentations, we will hear a staff report from our representative from Etica. After the staff report, we will allow up to 5 minutes of rebuttal from each of the petitioner, any remonstrators, or any proponents. The first item of business this evening is the approval of, the approval of the minutes from our previous, Actually, we are not going to do an election of officers tonight for 2024 because we don't have a full, all of our members are not here. So the next item on the agenda, our town manager is going to, Grant Kleinhans, is going to cover the new Town of Speedway Comprehensive Plan. Grant?
Thank you. I will take 2 minutes. I promise I won't take that long.
Okay, the timer's on.
Yeah, right. Each of you have a spiral-bound copy, at least the members do, of our newly adopted comprehensive plan. This was an 18-month effort, which started obviously in 2022, but was wrapped up, approved, and adopted by the Town Council last September. This is a multi-year plan, probably a 10 to 20-year plan that identifies the priorities of the community, things that we heard from our residents, what they wanted. There are goals, objectives involving all aspects of town government. There are sections in here on zoning and planning. I wanted to provide it to you so that you had it as a resource in case you wanted to use that in your work here on the Board of Zoning Appeals. So if you have any questions, I'm more than willing at any time to sit down with you and go over some of those goals and objectives. One of the initiatives out of the plan that we will be moving on this year is hiring a consultant to update our zoning codes. So we, as you know, we have adopted Indianapolis's codes a couple of years ago. Right. We want to create codes that reflect Speedway and what we want the town to become, and then try to implement a lot of the items in here. So we will be going through a process. My guess is I would love to have your input as well on that, as well as participation. So we'll work on that in 2024.
Great.
So with that, I appreciate your time, and I'm going to excuse myself. I've had night meetings the last 3 nights, so I'm going to go home and try to be with my family.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
To clarify. So there's nothing new ordinance-wise,
No.
zoning-wise. It just has some general improvements that you'd like to see or for the future.
It has recommendations on things that we should work on, prioritize, and clean up or deal with.
Okay, well, this is great. Thank you very much.
It has a nice index, so you should be able to find what you're looking for fairly quickly.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Any other questions? Oh, no? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. Okay. I went over the rules already. Okay, so the approval of minutes from November 1st. I previously talked to Eder. There was just one minor spelling mistake, but otherwise I did not see any changes or corrections to the minutes. To Steve or Robert? No?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Minutes are approved. Okay. Next on the agenda is the withdrawal of petition number 2023 DVS 004. This was a petition last year for an improvement on a house on 12th Street, and after they made their presentation and our staff person did some research, it was determined that a zoning variation was not needed, or variance, I mean. So they have submitted a letter to withdraw their petition. So we just are officially acknowledging that withdrawal of that petition. Okay, moving on. The next, we have a petition number 2023 DVS 005 for 1956 Girard Avenue. Would the petitioner or representative please approach the podium?
Hi, gentlemen.
Hi.
My name is Brian Gatewood. My address is 1956 Girard Avenue, Speedway, Indiana. I'm here for the petition that you just mentioned. I do have an outline. Am I allowed to present that or not? I'm not familiar with this procedure, so.
Sure.
Okay. I just got some basic information and pictures that I'd just like to give you for information purposes.
Was this additional information from what?
It's beyond.
Oh, okay.
I had submitted earlier.
That's fine.
Is that acceptable?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
My wife and I purchased this property a few years ago. We've been renovating it. We have the intention over the next few years to possibly move into it as our residence. It'll probably be used in the short term till we figure out our situation as a rental for the next couple of years, but that's
Okay.
our goal. We've made significant improvements to the property. As part of the improvements in the initial permit, we did have a fence shown around our patio. It was not defined in incredible detail. I will absolutely admit that. So I inquired, I believe, with Austin about the ability to build a fence. Was initially informed there was no permit required for a fence in Speedway. I started that process, and about a week into it, after the posts were set, I got a stop work order, which I immediately called about, and Austin directed me to talk to Robert, who I believe is a building inspector. Robert and I had a verbal conversation. I explained that we weren't building a pergola because I did set 6x6 posts around our patio. The 6x6 posts could, obviously, people could think that could be a pergola. It was just an aesthetic thing. But at that point in time, I did express I was going to, put up an 8-foot fence. He verbally gave me approval to move forward with that, but I did need a permit for my steps that I was going to do because of code, which I completely understand. About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, he and I had a further conversation and said, well, the town of Speedway has an ordinance that says it's a 6-foot height limit. At that point in time, I went ahead and expressed I was going to apply for a variance for that. I did not mean to intentionally violate the code. So I just want to bring some history into that if we could. There was I've applied for all of our permits for this project along the way as best I knew how. I'm not a professional.
Of course, right.
So that's, what in my initial part, that's just kind of an explanation of that first paragraph. Our intent of why we would like to have the 8-foot fence or keep the 8-foot fence at this point is that the commercial properties directly to the north along Crawfordsville Road have a lot of, there are 3 out of the 4 properties all do auto repair work. And many times those autos end up in their adjacent or rear areas of their lots. So at any given time, sitting on my patio, there are times when people working on cars, spray painting cars, and particularly because one of them's an auto body shop, and it's just not all that pleasant of a thing that you want to look at, see, or smell. So that's the gist of my request. Now, I did do a little research, and the C3 zoning that they are allowed doesn't, in my understanding and reading this, doesn't particularly apply for auto service work to be done in a C3 zoning. It looks to me, again, in my layman's terms, that should be a C5 zoning. C5 zoning would allow a 10-foot fence between a non-dwelling parcel and a dwelling parcel. And the code says that the greater of the two prevails, so that a 10-foot fence would be allowed between those two. So that's kind of where I got my thought on why we should do this. The other part is I looked around my neighborhood, and there are other people with 8-foot fences in the neighborhood. So my question is, can I have my 8-foot fence or like other people? And specifically, I'm directly adjacent to some commercial property. All I'm trying to do is create a better view from my patio, which I've shown you some pictures in the back there that kind of show what we look at. And then I think the last couple pictures show, inside the patio, if it's a little bit better, let's put it that way. I can do some landscaping, have some nicer things, have a greater place to enjoy, the outdoors at our facility. So, the gist of it is, it's been done in other places within the block, actually across the street. There's an 8-foot fence, and that's kind of where I thought it was okay, to be quite candid. I made an assumption that those are already in place. And then because we're next to a commercial property also. So that's where I would request your leniency in that situation.
Okay. I have a question. Is this photo?
That is the fence.
That is the new fence?
It is.
That you erected, okay.
It is.
And the last picture is whose fence is that, or whose property is that?
It's directly across the street.
Okay,
I believe the address is 1916 Girard Avenue.
okay.
I can give you those specific addresses. I found 3 other locations within a few blocks of our house where other people had 8-foot fences.
So that is an example of an 8-foot fence, or a partial 8-foot fence?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want a clarification on
Absolutely.
what I was looking at. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I'm well familiar with the business properties. They're actually to the south of you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
They're actually to the south,
I'm
right.
sorry. South, yes.
And there's an alley that separates your property and those, okay.
Correct.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Not right at this time.
And Robert, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And are there any other people that wish to speak in favor or against this proposal?
The businesses are definitely.
Okay, you could, pardon?
Businesses are definitely to the north. This house at 1956 Girard sits to the south of those.
I don't think so.
The alley,
The alley is to
the
the
business is
north.
along Crawfordsville Road.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a little,
And you're north of Crawfordsville Road, correct?
We are.
Yeah,
Okay, so, yeah,
the business is set to the south, yeah.
I think
Right.
Yeah.
at least unless you changed your house, I went by there and it's to the north because I'm pretty familiar
Yeah, I'm
with it.
sorry, I'm just a little nervous, I apologize.
All right.
okay. Okay, that's all. You can.
Sit down?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next we'll hear from our staff person from Attica.
Good evening. My name is Mitch Rector from Etica Group. We're at 8720 Castle Creek Parkway, East Drive, Suite 400, up in Indianapolis, 46250. So I was asked to put together a review of this petition for the board, and I've attached to the back of the petition, to my report, which I think you all should have gotten, the table showing the maximum heights for all the different districts, dwelling or commercial or mixed use or industrial. And as the petitioner stated, the maximum height in any of the dwelling districts currently is 6 foot. There is a exception to this for properties that are directly bordering a district that has a separate height where you can take the greater of the height, but I believe in this scenario, there actually is a property that is undeveloped between this property and the commercial buildings. So, and I was not privy to any of the discussion between the petitioner and the building inspector prior to this, so any of that info, unfortunately, I don't have with me. While I was out in Speedway doing an inspection on another petition, I ended up doing a site visit here and saw that the fence had already been built, and that kind of informed my decision, my recommendation, I should say, on here. I noticed while at the property that the next door neighbor, their backyard, only has a small chain link fence around it, and with this 8-foot fence up, they are much more boxed in, it seemed. So
Who is more boxed in?
the next door neighbor to the north,
Okay,
their backyard, now with this fence up to the south of them, they just have,
okay,
it's very imposing, I guess you could say.
okay.
So that's pending a remonstration from them or a complaint or recommendation from them. But that and seeing that the fence already been constructed and that a 8-foot tall fence is not conforming to a C3, even if it was bordering a C3, created my recommendation for the denial. But if there are any letters or exchanges in that information that was provided, unfortunately, I was not able to review that.
But I believe from the petition, when you said that there was another lot, that is part of their property. I believe it's all, is that correct, sir? That the empty lot to the south of you is your property, then there's the alley?
Correct.
Okay. So
Yes.
that is your property?
It is part of the same property, but I believe it's by the lot rather than the property. So even if you have two lots within the same property,
Oh, okay.
you joining a non-dwelling district does not apply here, from my understanding.
Okay.
So
Robert or Steve, do you have any questions on this?
Not at this moment. I have some questions, but not for him right now.
Okay. Do you have any questions for?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. So with that, thank you, Rich. Okay. So now, the next, if the petitioner would want to have a rebuttal or any other statement to this, now's your chance to do that.
Thank you, gentlemen. I fully agree that the current zoning on the commercial properties along Crawfordsville Road is a C3. That's why I took the time to look it up. I don't feel like they're being used in a C3 manner. I feel like they're being used in a C5 manner. Specifically, auto repair is listed in C5, and 3 of those 4 properties are used for auto repair. I gave you pictures of the automobiles that sit outside constantly, and therefore, in a C5 situation, it does count. And I understand what your representative has said about the adjoining lot by lot. That's all our property. So
Has
I guess that is a gray area. I agree with that.
your neighbor to the north expressed any concern about that fence being next to theirs or next to their backyard?
None to me verbally.
Okay,
I've been very happy about everything we've done, especially
Okay.
as friends that want to rent it out for the race.
okay,
So I have, and all the letters were sent out. They've had the opportunity to come and be here or
Correct.
respond. So
right. And Steve, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand your situation here about all this. So you own this house
yes,
and you don't live there?
I don't right now. No.
Okay. I guess what I'm what I'm trying to figure out is about the patio and the fence. Why, I guess it's such a big deal if you don't live there. I'm just,
I may live there in the future,
okay,
and I'm trying to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible for me when I eventually live there.
okay,
I think there's one picture, it's right before the last page, and I think it would exemplify my point of, it's an inside picture from the patio. If you take
Okay.
2 feet off of it, the commercial buildings are much more visible. Not to mention the activities that occur, because one of the pictures, I think, shows a rather large commercial truck that's parked right next to my house, which is kind of normal. And just trying to eliminate having to physically see commercial traffic all the time. If I bought a lot that was, it's on the border. We all know what it's like to be on the border. I'm trying to minimize the commercial impact upon the residential lot. That's all I'm trying to do.
okay. When you talk about those businesses, some of those businesses have been there since before I was born.
I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with,
so-
I don't want them to move, don't get
Okay.
me wrong.
Well, when you come here and say what they're doing, they've been doing it for 60 years. So I don't know what you want to do about that. I mean,
Again, I have no problem with those businesses
okay.
whatsoever.
Well, I thought you were complaining about them
No,
earlier.
No, don't take
about
that the wrong
their
way.
painting, and they're working on cars. They were there when you got there.
I agree. I'm just
So-
trying to minimize their impact on, my residents. Is all.
Right.
I'm not asking them to move. They're actually great guys. I've met all of them.
Well, I mean, I guess that's beside the point. I mean, they've been there
Sure,
forever.
sure.
I shouldn't say forever, but they've been there for 60 years.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't want them to do anything different than they're doing. I'm just trying to create a space that I don't necessarily have to see, smell, or look at what they're doing. That's all.
I mean, I understand with it being in the backyard, the need for maybe a little more privacy from, just from being exposed like that along the alley. And I was reading your findings of fact that it's not injurious to the public health, safety, or morals, or welfare of the community. It's just really improving the view from your patio, or just giving a sense of more privacy. And then, and more of a visual buffer. So if it was on a different part of the property, it might cause me greater concern too than, or if it was blocking any, obstructing any views from traffic going by, then that would be a whole different story. So I do understand your logic for wanting that, but just to clarify that.
Okay.
And you spoke earlier about the lot next door. You own that also?
We do.
And that's a separate lot from the house?
They are, it's one tax parcel.
Okay,
It was originally one, there were originally 2 lots, 2 buildable lots. It is one tax parcel at this point in time.
okay.
I think on the records for the county, though, it still shows as, lot 254 and lot 255, but I understand it's one tax parcel where you pay, right. Okay. Robert, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. So let's see there. Are there any other rebuttals then? If there's no other questions on this petition,
I guess, unless they have something to say.
who? Oh, do you have anything else to say? Oh, okay, thank you. You can be
Okay.
seated.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to vote on this.
I'll
petition.
second.
No, I need it first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you first.
I'll make a motion to vote on this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, if you'll pass the
Yeah.
ballots out. Okay. Well, we just, yeah, we're okay. So. Okay, if you'll, Mr. Secretary, if you would read the,
Petition number 2023 DVS 005, 2 for and 1 against.
so your petition, your variance has been approved, okay, by a vote of 2 to 1.
Yep.
Right. All right, that's, thank you for coming tonight, and your fence is official now. You don't need to take it down. Thank you for following through on the process. That's, I know you weren't here in January, but I'm glad, hopefully that'll put it to rest. Okay. All right. Now, next on our agenda is petition number 2024 DVS 001 for 2610 North High School Road. Will the petitioner please approach the podium and state your name and address?
I'm Chris Heights with Heights Sign Company, address 905 Industrial Drive, Madison, Indiana.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm Chris Heights from Heights Sign Company. We have a small sign company in Madison, Indiana. We've been doing signs for First Financial Bank for many years, and then my dad was doing them prior to that. And as they've grown as a bank, we've kind of grown with them. So they just built a new location here in Speedway, and they're kind of entering this market here. It's located at 2610 North High School Road, and that is in the Founders Square development. And actually, I wanted to first thank Eder for helping me through this process, because this was all new to me, so I'm sure I had lots of questions and maybe called him too much, but thank you for that. So, like I was saying, that this address, 2610 North High School Road, is in the Founders Square development, and how I understand it is the frontage has an integrated frontage that doesn't allow for a monument sign out in front of the bank. So what we are petitioning for is to get a sign out in front of the bank, like what they do at many of their other locations. What they do have in place of the monument sign is they have a multi-tenant sign where the other businesses in that center can use. There are, other than First Financial, there are 3 other tenants on it, 2 of which have a monument sign. But those monument signs are located on Crawfordsville Road instead of High School Road. But that's a Crew Car Wash and Aldi. So we're wanting to do the same thing that they're doing and have their own sign location. What I think is the biggest problem for that lot is when you are heading south on High School Road, heading toward the bank. The property just north of the bank is an apartment complex, and they have a tree line that goes out toward the road to where you cannot see the bank until you get right to their entrance. I actually drove it today. I came from the north side, and I had to stop pretty quick just to turn into the entrance. The bank has, even though this is an integrated center, the other businesses in the area do not have their own entrance into the property. The bank does have their own entrance into the property, so you don't have to turn into the center and then go back around. You can do that. There is an option to do that, but they have a center, or they have a pull-in just for them. And that pull-in is blocked until you get right up on it, and you can't see the bank until you get right there. So even today, when I did it, I knew where I was going, but I still stopped pretty quickly. And just when I was getting ready to make a right into the center, there were some pedestrians crossing. So I had to stop, and then I had to wait for them, and then I had people kind of backing up behind me. So I guess The other locations there that do not have their own monument sign, they also don't have their own entrance. So that's where I think that, where I think it would, in this situation, it would warrant it, because by the time, if you miss that entrance, then you have to go past the bank, and then you have to turn in and then come back around. So I think just for the visibility concerns and just safety for the motorists and pedestrians, I think it would, and with the fact that there are other locations within that center that already have monument signs. So I don't think it would be abnormal, because other ones were. I don't think it would be injurious or to the public safety, because you're just following suit with the other properties in that location. And I think just when any bank comes into an area, I think they want to be seen. They're trying to gain customers, and if you're passing the bank before you see it, I mean, that's a hindrance to their business. So, and I can take any questions or.
Who wants to start? Do you have any,
No, not yet.
do you have any questions yet?
No, I don't think right now.
Oh, I have some questions.
Okay.
So in your findings of fact, you state that the sign will not, or it will be located in front of the bank's property. Is it, I drove by there today too, there is a grass median, correct, and then there's a sidewalk?
Yes.
then there's,
I mean, it looks like, based off of this right-of-way, it would sit back I mean, there's room there to do it, so it would have the setback, that would be met.
So setback from the sidewalk, not the street, or?
As far as I know, that the setback would not be the issue there. It's
Okay.
just having the sign is the issue.
Of course, right. Because I read what the rules are for Founders Square as far as the number of monument signs, but, the other question I had, so this is almost an 8-foot, it'll be about an 8-foot monument sign when I'm looking at the schematics?
Yes, and it's not built or anything, so as far as like square footage or whatever the requirements are, we haven't even gone down that road. It was more to see if they'll allow it. But yeah, that's what we're proposing. But, obviously that's, we haven't gone through the permitting for it yet.
Oh, okay.
So,
But this proposed monument sign that was submitted with the application.
that is what we are proposing. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we wanted to start, so.
Because that's taller than me, a lot taller than me. So it's almost 8 foot, 7 foot 11 is what I'm reading from the ground. About 5 feet for the sign itself, and then almost 3 feet for the base of it. And then it looks like about 8 feet, 4 inches across. Well, the reason I was asking is because, if it was, I forgot what those kind of sign, if it was like on a pedestal or something, that would just not be acceptable at all. But with it
Right.
being closer to the ground, at 8 feet, I just wanted to get a visual of what it might be.
And so that sign is a standard that they've used at other locations.
I
So we
see.
presented the standard that they've used at other locations. Now, in other communities, we've had to adjust that. I mean, sometimes they have a 6-foot height requirement, and then we just make that base smaller. So that's all things that we could entertain if we're allowed to have the sign. And the main reason for the sign is just to get that, just because of the visibility concerns.
Okay, I do drive along High School Road, and I know it's a very busy street. And heading south is also very busy, whether it's north or south. And I understand if I was coming from the north, I would definitely see the bank on the left because the colors are very, prominent, and you already have a sign on the
Yes, we
front and the
just put it up
side.
last Friday.
And it looks very nice, but I guess I haven't noticed coming south because I haven't had to. I do know that I don't even remember the name of the apartment complex anymore. It's still International Village to me, but, because I've lived here long enough, but I know it, what is it, Brickyard Flats or Brickyard Crossing?
That sounds familiar.
Something,
And
or-
I just drove by it today, and I should have.
That's
wrote the
terrible.
name down.
John, what is it? Brickyard Flats, thank you. But I do know that they have landscaping all the way out to the sidewalk, and there might even be like a brick wall or a short brick fence in the front too. So I can kind of understand if I was heading south, I understand your logic of why a sign
It's even
might.
more than landscape. It is a tree line that causes a
Okay.
visibility concern in the winter.
Okay.
So I haven't even seen it. I'm sure it'll just be worse in the summer.
And the other comment I have or question, I noticed that you did also submit that the Founders Square Design Review Board did deny this last November, the monument sign. They approved your directional signs and your wall signs. Those were all approved, and the marquee sign. And I know because of that being kind of what I want to say, a very prominent area for the town of Speedway, they definitely wanted to guide what kind of signage could or could not be in there. And
So I didn't know if the denial was based on requiring a variance in order to go through with that sign.
It is.
Like you can't do it because it's until you get a variance. And
Correct.
then we could resubmit it to that.
Correct, right. Because according to the rules that were written, or the code that was written for that property, the whole property or complex, they denied it based on that information.
Right, so I assumed that possibly the other locations that have monument signs located in that, I thought maybe they got a variance to get the approval, and then they submitted it, and then it was approved, because of the, and they are smaller monument signs, just kind of like what we're proposing, so.
And I don't have let's see, I should look at maybe the information that Mitch provided with his recommendation. It doesn't talk about the size of the signs in his statement. It just talks about how many signs are allowed. Okay. I'm kind of blathering here. I just wanted to kind of get some clarifications on what your thought processes were, and also just comment about what I saw in the petition. So, go
I
ahead.
think that maybe just to kind of sum up what are my thoughts on it, and I apologize if I'm not putting it all in order, because
That's okay.
This is a new process to me, is that there are other businesses within that same center that have monument signs. So we're looking to try to do that too. The multi-tenant sign, which is supposed to take the place of the monument sign, two of the three other tenants have monument signs. And the reason for the monument sign in this location is the visibility concerns that you see when you're coming south, and the fact that they have their own entrance, which is unique to other properties in that location.
Right.
So it's to see their own entrance with the visibility concerns of the tree line there.
Okay. Steve or
No,
Robert?
not right now, I don't.
Not right now, okay. Okay,
guess-
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And next,
Sorry.
we'll.
I had one question.
Sure.
So the directional signs were approved, or would those be, or any of those going to be placed at that second entrance to the bank?
There is one at that second entrance, but it's it's for when you've already pulled in. It's just to do, those are kind of incidental signs that tell you once you're on the property. Say,
Okay.
go this way if you want to go to the ATM, this way if you want to park, the exit's in the back, the drive-through. It's just to circulate traffic in the way that they want there.
Okay, so it's not visible until you actually turn into the property.
Right, and in some communities, they don't even permit them. They just say that they're incidental, they're not like a sign to passing motorists.
Okay.
As soon as you pull into that entrance, that is not to get you from the entrance, it's once you've pulled in to say either go straight or turn left.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any, thank you very much. Are there any other proponents or remonstrators on this petition before we hear from our staff? You can be seated.
I will just add one detail if I might.
Could you come up, please? John.
John Maritain of Speedway. The one thing that they have discussed a lot is that entrance, and the town did not want them to have that entrance because
Which, was that the high school road entrance?
Exactly
Okay.
correct. Okay, because most do not. And myself and the street commissioner looked at people turning left. You can turn left there, and that would be a problem coming from that light. And if you know that area, it was congested before we have that subdivision. Now we have the subdivision, it's really busy, and we've had to work on light timing and all that just to make sure.
Okay.
But anyway, we were concerned about people right past that not being able to turn in there safely, not only from the north, but coming from the south as well. So that's the reason why, but the bank was very adamant, they wanted to keep that entrance.
Okay.
And so, obviously, we went with that, but we knew this would be a problem.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that these were the thoughts that we had even in the very beginning stages, but Indianapolis had approved the plot plan with that on it. And he is correct, most people do not have their own entrance for the safety reasons, and they want you to feed in that 25th Street to
Right.
try to keep traffic flowing the one direction.
Okay.
And
So your point really is about not so much the sign, but the fact that that entrance is there to
that
begin with.
created the problem, not having a sign trying to fix a problem that we tried to create originally.
Okay.
Okay, and so,
Do you have any
questions on that?
Go ahead.
No, I'm okay right now. I may have to ask you something in a minute, John.
Okay, very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Mitch, could we hear from our staff, please?
Hello again. So I reviewed this petition, and one thing I was a little curious about while looking at this was what kind of agreement there was for Founders Square development between the developer and the town. And so I inquired into the declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for that development. And I have a couple snippets in my report, but I also printed off the declaration if you would like it. I can bring
Okay.
2 of these up here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I had made a site visit here, and I agree that this driveway does have some visibility concerns with the overgrowth from the apartment to the north. But while looking at this declaration of covenants, down in Exhibit B, which I believe is the last page of the document, there is language in here saying, for the location and number of signs, all signs shall be affixed at ground level or on the face of the building. And they should identify the user, nature of business, and products as a business sign. And only one sign of those shall be permitted for each length of frontage along a public street. Now, in the petition, there already is a business sign facing North High School Road. That is, I believe it's Exhibit A in the petition. And the only other signs on a parcel are those of a directional nature or traffic control signs or temporary signs indicating for sale or for rent. So because that language was contained within the declaration of covenants for this development, I'm not entirely sure that a petition is the right thing to do here, and I am recommending a denial because if this were approved, it would be going directly against the language about the number of signs that the owner and any lessees agreed to as part of the development. Now, that said, that is for the proposed business sign that they included in their petition. I think if it were deemed necessary, a traffic sign that did not name businesses or such, perhaps letting motorists know to slow down, could be something that could be looked into to help ameliorate this. But in the meantime, my recommendation, based on the sign that they are proposing in the petition, would be a deny.
And Mitch, you weren't here when the signage was approved for Aldi's or...
I was not. I was not a part of that discussion.
Or Crew. And I don't know if it's because they don't have any other signs other than what they have on the building already, or I really don't remember.
Well, it does say in here for each length of frontage along a street, so it could be that the monument signs are on different streets than necessarily where the business sign is pointing. But in this case, you would have the business sign facing High School Road, and then 20 feet out, you would also have the big 8x8 monument sign.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Not right at this second.
Is there anything else?
No.
Do you have anything? Do you have questions? Okay, no, thank you, Mitch.
Is anybody else coming up here?
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this petition? Pardon me?
He's got it, if you can speak on what Mitch said, I think.
Do you have, okay, you can approach the podium again.
I don't have a whole lot new to say. I don't know. I didn't look to see if Aldi, I'm sure they have business signs, but I can't confirm that other than, but I do know that they do have, they're at least located on the multi-tenant sign and their own personal monument sign. So, I mean, that's at least two different frontages that they're using. Same thing with Crew. I mean, I can confirm that. Like, they have one that's out on Crawfordsville and then one that's on, and then I assume that they have them on the building, but I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure that I saw them on there. And then if it's that, I think he mentioned that the size of the sign, but I mean, that's can be whatever you guys, I guess, tell me that it can be. So, I mean, if the size is a concern, we can come back with a shorter one or a smaller footprint of that sign. I think the bank, is willing to work with, whatever parameters that you guys put in there. So, and as far as like the granting of that entrance, that wasn't, I'm just the sign guy. I didn't do any of I didn't do the development or anything like that. So
I understand.
There is they have an architect firm called K4 that does all they're out of Cincinnati that does all their stuff. And
Correct.
That's who my only experience with them is just, I don't have the ability to do the site plans to be used with the scale ruler so I just had them do those for me so I could pass those along. So, and same, like if no one mentioned anything about landscaping, sometimes there's a landscaping requirement. Again, that would be whatever you guys tell me, and then I would give that information to the bank and they would hire a landscaper because I don't do that either. So, but yeah, so as far as that goes.
Well, and my earlier comment about the dimensions of the sign that was on the petition, that was a proposal. I was not making any judgment about the size of it at all. I was just trying to confirm what I saw as a proposed sign size, not the fact that it was too big or too small.
Okay.
So just to be clear on that. So,
Yeah,
If you-
I guess I need to ask Mitch a question before I can say anything to you, I guess, about
Okay.
anything.
while Chris is still up here, do you have any?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. So I guess, Mitch, come on back.
Yeah. Mitch, do you know anything about, there was some kind of issue about El Rodeo before?
Yes, so I believe El Rodeo did have a monument sign that was, I think 100 feet south of where this proposed monument sign was.
Right.
And it's my understanding that El Rodeo was asked to remove it in order to meet these requirements, that they could not have multiple signs on
The
the front.
covenants requirements that are written for this addition?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think permitting this sign will immediately have El Rodeo asking, well, why did the town ask us to remove ours? Because this doesn't seem fair, so.
I did not know that. Thank you. Thank you for asking that question, because I didn't know. Okay. Anything else for Mitch?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Mitch.
Well, yeah, I do. Mitch, one more thing. Do you have any recommendation for them for their signage, other than what they have?
No. Mine would be a deny if, unfortunately, because there's multiple review boards here, I think they would need to take this to the other review board, not the Board of Zoning Appeals, with what they would like to put instead, if they decide to ask for a traffic sign or a directional sign out there.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
But
thank you,
this,
Mitch.
this petition should cover what the proposed sign is, being the 8x8 monument sign that is in there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Are there any other questions?
I could add one more thing.
Yes.
On that tree line, the town would be more than happy to approach the apartment complex and ask them that if they would allow them or try to get them to do it, but if they won't do it, you know, would you guys, would that help you guys?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you're the sign guy.
Right.
So I'm just trying to,
I
the
can pass that
town
information
is
to
happy the banks
to the
come,
bank.
or you understand what I'm saying? And if that would help solve the problem of people getting more visibility. And I don't think that the tree line is a great thing. I mean, it's like a bush tree line or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that we could get them to see what we could do about cleaning that up a little bit or whatever you want to say. And that would help this problem as well if they can't have that sign.
Okay. Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Can I say one more thing, or ask one question?
Sure.
So if they were able to get approval from the Founders Square Board, would that be like, I guess if that was, would that be a first process, or is there like a variance meeting with them? Like I said, I'm kind of new to it, and I didn't know if that is, I get a step that they would want to do, is that an option, or? Because I mean, the difference, I guess, between El Rodeo and the bank is the entrance.
They have an entrance as well.
Don't they have the shared entrance?
No, they have that one, but they have one as well.
Oh, do they?
used to have
Okay.
multiple entrances, and we made them close down.
Okay, that I did not know.
Theirs is a right turn only, because there's a median there. So
the
once
banks
again,
is-
yeah, they're,
Okay,
yes, and so that's much safer
okay,
because of that, but they do have an entrance as well.
okay, I
Those
thought
are
they just had
only
the
two
shared.
properties. They have the shared one as well.
Right,
They have their own.
Okay.
Just south of yours.
okay. That,
Okay.
I guess, then my question, just getting information is is there a variance process with the review board?
The board can't give you legal counsel, so that's not really a question that they can answer directly. I will say the request has already been denied by the board on the sign itself.
Right.
I think what staff was talking about when they said going back to the board was if you wanted to do a different kind of sign, like a traffic sign or something that's not a monument sign. But the sign request has been denied by the Founders Square Review Board, and this is a variance request, which is something separate than that. But
Okay.
so as far as any appeals that are available for the review board, the Founders Square Review Board, that's something you'd have to seek
Yes.
counsel on.
And, yeah, and that is a separate entity that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different review board entirely, because it's specifically for that property.
Okay.
And they have to follow those, what he's saying is they have to follow those regulations. So if
Right.
they told you no once, they're gonna have to tell you for that type of, for any sign out there, they're gonna give you the same answer, because they have to.
Right. But there's no way to I guess, to talk to them and do a variance through them. I'm just trying to see how to, if there is a scenario where there's a sign that they like how the Aldi one and the Crew, if maybe they're presenting it in a different way, it may be a different size or a different.
The only one is actually on Founders Square, not on High School.
What's that? I'm sorry.
It's inside the complex. It's on like what you would consider your back drive. That's where their sign's at. Which is the front drive.
The Aldi one is where you
On
see it.
the-
You see it on Crawfordsville, right?
It is on Founders Square.
Okay.
So your sign's on High School, a main thoroughfare. Theirs is on
But it's meant to be seen from Crawfordsville, the one they have, right?
Well, I'm just telling you how they got it approved. It's not on Crawford. They had all that property out front there that they would have rather had it out front. But it met the standard by being on the inside street versus being on the outside street.
Okay, so I'm just trying to gather
I'm
my,
not saying that we're not talking sight lines or whatever. I'm just explaining to you how that one differed.
and same with the Crew?
Crew had a unique land height that they did not plan on. They were supposed to be ground level and they're like 8 feet up in the air. If you look at the landscape of those sides, it and Freddie's wanted one of these signs, didn't get it. That the subdivision had a maximum of 2 of these signs. Those were the first 2 people that got it. And then all the rest, Valvoline, everybody else wanted to, and they all did not have them because of the same reason you did not.
Okay. So,
And it's nothing that it was the developer and everybody like that wrote these standards that we're talking about.
yeah, so I'm just trying to gather my information so I can tell it to my customer in the right way. Because I think their concerns mainly is that entrance, which is, the visibility concern for the bank,
And we kind of discussed that with them in the beginning of the project, and they chose to keep the entrance.
Right, so.
But to answer your initial question that started this, like Mr. Wilson said, we can't give you legal advice on that, but I would say if you went back to Mr. Kleinhans, who signed that letter, and asked that question of him, because I believe he might be on that review board, to ask if there's any other way to approach this, that would be your next step, because we can't give you any advice on that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know the process because when we applied for it, I just applied through Speedway,
Right.
for it. So, I didn't apply to any separate entity,
Correct.
So I just wasn't sure how it all worked, so.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion for a vote on this petition.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, the ballots have been distributed, so please cast your vote right now. There you go. Will you please read the results?
Sure. Results for 2024 GVS 001, 3 against, 0 for.
So the motion's been denied. Thank you for your patience on this. I think if it was in a different situation, but because so many, the location and the fact that it had been decided already by a separate board kind of, determined our judgment on this too. But thank you very much. Okay, is there any other business this evening for the board? Okay, hearing none, I adjourn this meeting at 8:01.